Good morning. Welcome to Winning at Life. I just thought you wanted to hear the show music for a little bit this morning. Pulling together my final thoughts. Hey, great show today. It's a great weekend. Happy Veterans Day. Oh my gosh. You know, I'm about showing thanks and appreciation for what all they've done and allow us to be who we are. I myself have some prior military service, but it's not about me. It's about all those others who have served and have given so much and continue to do so. So think about that. You know, as I was thinking about that topic this weekend and all, and where our office building is in Metairie, there's Armed Forces Recruiting Center in that building. So I get to see them, typically Navy people, on a daily basis. And you know what? I'm always happy to see them and very appreciative of what they do out there. And, you know, military service, I think it's a good thing. We should have more, much more of our young adults get involved in the armed forces, do a short stint in the service, or get involved in the reserves, or short stint and shift to reserves or National Guard, or just join as a reservist. And how about joining the National Guard as well? There, you know, where people are talking about, you know, gosh, it costs so much for college and all. And I've talked about this in the past, and you can go look it up online. But there's college benefits for being in the armed forces. There's also benefits for being in the National Guard as well. So whichever state you're residing in, look into that. You're not committing the rest of your life. You're committing a period of time that I think, for a lot of people, honestly, the discipline and working and learning in that environment make you a better person. Hey, on the other side of it, you know, for the future, no telling how anything goes, but you get quite a bit of weapons training, by the way, as well. So that was, you know, just one of my many things on talking with people recently about weapons and stuff is, you know, we learned to disassemble, clean, and reassemble weapons. For example, blindfolded. Why? You might need to do that during the night. Weapons training, firing was there was daytime tests as well as nighttime tests that you had to be proficient at, and that was with different types of weapons as well. But you get some camping experiences and eating that type of food that they prepare for that. It's all life experiences, and I'm better for it. I went to 91B Medic School in Sam Houston, Texas, as one of my trainings that I was involved in, and I learned a lot of stuff from the medical side. So very appreciative of that. So I'm just sharing a few thoughts of my experience. And hey, one of the things that, you know, money's involved is getting some college tuition help. Yeah, that was one of the reasons I joined.
So very appreciative of that.
Long
So
time
we're
ago
just sharing a few
was from
thoughts
that
of my
standpoint. So
experience.
I think it's seriously
and,
something to
hey, one of the
look
things
in
that,
and
money's
consider.
involved.
Well, back to
Getting
the
some
show. You're
college
listening to
tuition
Winning at
out.
Life. Who am I? I'm Gregory
Back to the
Ricks.
show.
I'm your
It's one of
host.
the reasons. Who
For
am
newbies,
I?
we've been
I'm
doing the
Gregory
show for over
Ricks. I'm your
13
host.
years,
Long time. For
and
newbies, we've been doing
we
the show for over
have
13
so many
years.
listeners
And,
that just tune
we look
in.
and
Some of them will
many
call from
listeners.
time
Back
to
to the
time.
show.
That's
You're
been
listening
one of
to
our
Winning at Life.
great
Some of them,
benefits
I'm
over the
Gregory
years
Ricks.
is
I'm your host.
a sounding
For
board
newbies,
for
we've been doing the show
listeners
for
that
over
have a
13
question
years.
or
And,
want to share
for
some
listeners
thoughts,
that have so many
financial
listeners that
related
share some thoughts.
as well. So if
Some
you'd like
of
to
them
join the
financial
conversation
related.
today,
That's been one of our
this
great
is
benefits
the first
over
hour
years
of
today.
our
A sounding
3-hour
board. This is the
show
first hour
today.
that have a question. 3 hour.
You can
Want to
join the
share some
conversation by
thoughts.
just simply calling. The number is
Financial. You can relate to the conversation. If you'd
504-260-0995.
like to join the conversation,
We're streaming live over on Facebook,
so
so Facebook Live, and on our YouTube channel. There's a few other channels, but if you're on some of those others, you know who they are, but that's the two most popular out there.
Streaming
is
live
Facebook
over on
Live
Facebook.
and our
So
Google
Facebook
channel
Live
as
and
well that we're
on
streaming
our
on.
YouTube
You can utilize the
channel.
Winning at Life
There's a few other
app to
channels
become a part of the Winning at
Utilize
Life
the Winning at
Nation. You
Life
can text,
app
email,
to
call the show
become
through
part
the
of
app.
the
A
Winning
lot of
at Life
resources
Nation.
there and regular updates regarding our Ask Gregory podcast, and you can stream this show. Facebook's going to replay immediately after, and the audio will be uploaded. So we have a lot of people that utilize that, and we've got two more episodes, I believe, have released recently. I'll explain more details later. I have Wes Blanchard in studio with us today. We are very blessed to have him with us. He and I did a educational event the other day, and we'll talk about that event. So there was a lot covered in that, and if you didn't attend it, we'll help you out here today. Hey, Wes, how are you doing today?
He and I did a how are you doing today?
Very, very well. How are
I'm
you
just
guys?
so happy to be here. Saturday, it's a great weekend. Another LSU home game this weekend against Florida. That's always a big game, rivalry,
Very, very well. How are you
fun.
guys?
I don't know the lay of the land coming the next few seasons, how what rivalries are in place, or maybe they did announce it. I know they announced it on the baseball that Mississippi State and Texas A&M were going to stay as reoccurring, permanent there. I don't know from football, but hey, doesn't matter. It's SEC, so it's all games you got to show up for and such. So I'm going to be hanging out at our tailgate later today and attend our game over there. So if you'd like to look us up, we're going to be out there rooting on the Tigers. Tigers from Wednesday night, West?
Yeah, I think they do.
I'm gonna be hanging out at our tailgate.
Yeah, I think they do.
later
I think they finished the season strong. You know, a bit of a disappointment, obviously, versus expectation.
We're gonna be out
Oh,
there.
there
They
is.
kind of
There is.
rallied at the end. There's still a lot to play for.
Tigers from there is.
A lot of these kids are, they're heading to the next level, so they want to put some of that draft stock.
Yeah, I'm good if they just
versus
win out.
expectations.
Win out. That's what we
everybody
want to do.
around
We want
There's still a
to
lot to play
win
for.
the
Oh, there is.
last
A lot of
three
these guys
games
are, you know,
of the
they're headed to the
season
next
and
level, so
then
they
win
wanna
the
put
bowl
some
game and
some
have
good
a
tape
good
out there
recruiting
and get
class
some,
to continue
get some rise
building
in that draft stock.
through the rebuilding
Yeah, I'm
program.
good if they
This
just win
is
out.
season
Yeah.
two
I think everybody wanna
under
do.
Coach Kelly. So this is, I don't know if
Last
you
3
can
games.
jump out there and think you're going to win a championship right away. But hey, they've been playing to that level, and that is their expectation, and I appreciate that. So the
This
building is going to
season
continue.
2. under
Anything in
Coach
particular
Kelly.
on your mind today?
I don't know if you.
I mean, nothing that's striking me as a hot topic. You know, you mentioned
But
earlier
hey,
we
they've been
had
playing
an event
to that level, and that is
yesterday.
their
Or I should say
expectation.
Thursday. You know, kind of doing some education and running over
Anything in
some of the
particular
things
on
that
your
you think
mind
are
today?
important, just as an overall.
I mean,
concept. So
nothing that's
I think
striking
we'll
me as a
touch
hot
on that.
topic.
You mentioned dive in a little bit that some of the topics that we
yesterday
covered during that
I should say
presentation. And then, there was a couple kind of days education and running over some during that time as well. We think probably warrant a little bit of overall concept. So, we'll just kind of keep it open. And then, phone lines, of course, it's always a welcome discussion during the question about estate planning, whether trust or there was a couple of Q&A's, successions or anything like that at time as well. That probably warrant a little bit of a discussion.
So that's hour one.
We'll just kind of keep it open. And then, phone lines, of course, it's always a welcome discussion when anybody has a question about estate
one of the things
planning,
I'm thinking about, it's Veterans Day, so I have a little bit of Social Security
So that's hour one.
regarding
Hour
that,
two,
and I'm going to, rumor mill misleads
one of the
that.
things I'm
So we're going to
thinking
talk
about,
about debts, credits
It's
regarding
Veterans Day,
Social
so I have a
Security.
little bit of
In
Social
hour
Security
two,
talk.
I also have a topic I want to talk about, and some of you have maybe felt that from me recently, but I spoke at our event, I touched on it the other day, Wes, and that's
hour two.
regarding Medicare
I also have a topic.
Advantage. I'm going to talk about that
and
in
some of you
hour two. And one of the things I'll share with you, if you're watching TV,
but I spoke at our.
what do you see
I touched
on commercial break?
And that's
regarding.
I
I think it's overtaken the attorneys' commercials
I'm gonna talk
out there
about that.
that you always see. If
hour two.
you have a wreck,
I'll
call
share with you.
Fred.
If you're watching
There's
TV,
lots of that out there. But
what do you see?
what's taken over is Medicare Advantage commercials.
I think it's overtaken
And
the
a couple
attorneys
weeks ago, I got to
commercials
the
out
why.
there that you always see.
Why?
If you
So
have a
many?
wreck, call Fred. So there's lots of
So
that.
I
out
did a
there.
little bit
And-
digging
but
and
what's
reading,
taken
and then
over
I've got an
is
article I'll
Medicare
talk to you about that I came across
commercials.
last weekend
And a couple
from
weeks ago, I
NBC
got
News,
to
and
the
I'll
why
give you resources how to
Why?
find that as
Why
well.
so
But we're going to
many?
talk about that and the why, and I have
did a little bit
stuff,
of
some
digging
opinion.
and reading, and then I've got an
And you're
article
gonna know
talk to
it
you
in
about how
hour
I came
two.
across last weekend.
So we're going to take a short break. This is our first break. We're going to take a short break. We're going to be right back, and we're going to dive into some estate planning.
And
You
the
are
why,
listening
and
to
I-
Winning
I
at
have
Life.
stuff,
I am your host,
some
Gregory
opinions.
Ricks. We'll be right back.
Ask Gregory is a financial podcast from the guys who bring you Winning at Life with Gregory Ricks.
My mother just inherited a couple of annuities. If you could explain the difference between a government pension offset and the windfall elimination provision is.
You now make too much income to contribute to a Roth IRA.
Find the Ask Gregory podcast on the Winning at Life app, the iHeartRadio app, Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts, and Spotify.
You all are so good.
Investment advisory services offered through AE Wealth Management, LLC.
He said, she said, real versus fake news. Cool for social media. Gumbo Nation, when buying or refinancing, you need the right answers. At Mortgage Gumbo Dadcam, we help guarantee the best available rates you qualify for. Our dozens of investors, many of the same you're calling, are ready to earn your business, and it's all in one spot. Let me help you with the right loan at the right price. Visit Mortgage Gumbo Dadcam.
If you like money, you'll love the Winning at Life app. On the Winning at Life app, you can listen to the show live, and if we're not on at the moment, you can hear a replay of the latest episode of Winning at Life. Whether you're getting a late start on your retirement savings or keeping up with the financial news, Winning at Life with Gregory Ricks is there, on demand. Hear the Winning at Life show on the Winning at Life app, your wallet's favorite app.
2 questions. Do you have a pulse? Do you own anything? If you said yes to both, you probably need a will. You may even need a trust. We all know a lawyer. Do you know someone who specializes in estate planning? Do you really trust the husband of your sister's friend from college? Or would you feel better putting your family in the hands of the estate planning attorney of the Total Wealth Authority? I'm Wes Blanchard. What's your plan? Offices in Metairie and at wjblanchardlaw.com.
The Ricks Report with Gregory Ricks.
One of the core jobs with annuities that goes back hundreds of years is to guarantee income for life. It has that option in there. We like to use it as a distribution tool of income that, markets go all to hell and your assets won't go down. So that should be part of your blend to help levelize volatility with some risk-averse assets that's going to grow despite what's going on in the markets. It can be pension-like money, and a lot of what we do is bond-like money in that world. Bond-like is what annuities do, not what they are.
Winning at Life with Gregory Ricks, Saturday mornings at 10 on News Talk 99.5 WRNO. Find us on the Winning at Life app or GregoryRicks.com. Investment advisory services offered through AE Wealth Management, LLC.
Yeah, the boys round here drinking that ice cold beer, talking about girls, talking about trucks, turning them red dirt roads out, kicking up.
Welcome back. You're listening to Winning at Life. Live Financial News Talk Radio. I'm your host, Gregory Ricks. We have Wes Blanchard in studio with us, estate planning attorney. He and I held an estate planning learning event this past Thursday, and we do that a few times a year. We have calendared events for next year, and we're taking it to the Mandeville, Covington, North Shore area. I can't tell you the location yet, but we will have one. In Metairie, we've got a few events planned next year. With this past week was our last for this calendar year. So we bring those on. We don't overload you with them, but we bring those on. We don't overload. It's very important, and it's something that we make sure our clients are aware of. These are opportunities, and it's not necessarily the same old stuff each time, because we are sharing and advancing ideas and concepts to help people with estate planning. And I'd say, Wes, one of the things I think is communication. Communication to help people with those family decisions, because sometimes it's awkward, sometimes it's uncomfortable. Sometimes it's awkward. I kind of go back, and I want you to elaborate on that. I kind of go back. One of the things people think is we have plenty of time, and maybe you do when you're 30 or 40, but when you're 60 or 70, that's shrinking down. Like if you say, what is average life expectancy? Well, that's relative to the person. Somebody at 65, relative to really good health, somebody at 65, you could live into late 80s, early 90s. If you're in okay health, mid 80s. Horrible health, late 70s. So, and then of course those times where one of the most dangerous things we do is get in an automobile, and you hear about fatalities all the time. And we in our region have had a number of events just because of weather and fog. People go on their day going to work, and they are 88 years old, died recently, and it's just an abrupt thing. So in one sense, people, don't plan for that, but that leaves a lot of stuff undone, or major injuries due to that, and being incapacitated is one reason to have power of attorney, medical as well as financial, having a will, having a revocable trust to help things move smoothly. I know I threw a lot there. I want you to, I know it's all percolating, and you might share your thoughts.
Yeah, so, I think that, as you mentioned at the outset, communication is going to be key. And it's key not only, between obviously you and your attorney when you're getting this process going, but ultimately when the process is wrapped up, communicating to your loved ones that they've been placed in that role, whether it's power of attorney or the executor, and then sometimes also letting everyone know what the will structure looks like, who's going to be inheriting what. Hey, it's a fair split. No need to be focused on anything else, other than the priority when that time comes. So that's kind of the main concept at the outset. Is communication is really the core of this process, and that's something that we try to share with our clients as well. Different ways to communicate that. Sometimes you want to blend a little bit of hey, look, we've got a plan with. We're not necessarily going to disclose what that looks like at this point, but knowing that hey, look, there is a plan out there. So if there is an abrupt change, an abrupt end, that people are not scrambling, wondering whether you had a will in place, or if you're incapacitated, whether there's a power of attorney out there. Those in particular, the powers of attorney, are something that I tend to recommend handing over to the people that you have appointed sooner than later, if not immediately. And the reason for that is we have a trigger in the power of attorney, in the document itself, that allows the document to turn on and off only in the event you become incapacitated. So, there's really not much harm in handing over that document to your agent ahead of time. And it really is, in fact, until a doctor is certified he is incapacitated that he or she can take any action on your behalf. So, step one, you kind of really want to make sure that communication is started, it's begun, and then have a plan for, trickling out the information if you're not going to disclose it right off the bat. You mentioned a variety of different options too, and talking through the options that you have, whether a will is going to suit you best or a power of attorney is going to suit you best. We've had, a revocable trust as opposed to a will. We've had a couple of clients come in. We actually had one at the event this week, and he kind of had a question about, look, what does this look like for me if I'm using a revocable trust and I'm going to sidestep this succession process, and it's going to make sense for me financially, but I have a friend of mine or a family member who's an attorney, and I don't know that it's going to really take me very long to get through succession or cost me very much. And in all candor, I tell them, look, you're in a great spot. Then maybe you don't need to worry about sidestepping succession or delay, because you've got someone who's going to be your right-hand man and get you through that process quicker and for a lot cheaper than most people can do it. But most of the folks don't have that option. And so, the revocable trust is going to be your best bet to speed up that process, to make it the smoothest, and to be the most cost-effective way of getting through it as well. So, it's not a one-size-fits-all, and, we talked about that at the event too, that it's going to be a discussion about the client's particular needs. We're not out here, you and I, to make the most money possible, right? We're out here to help people solve the problems that they have. And yeah, we're going to earn a fee on that, because that's what that's our career, it's what we do, and we're good at it. And we feel like we're giving value in exchange for our work. But again, we're not going to push you into a product that doesn't make sense for you. So, the initial discussion and consultation and that kind of thing, it's going to be, about what you need particularly. And again, that goes back to that communication and kind of opening up what you're searching for and what you're trying to accomplish with the plan.
I go back to creating clarity and once again, the communication. And even if you're not wanting to have that kind of clarity, look, it gets real simple, and you don't have to have much wealth, but it's complicated. You have a spouse. Is it your first marriage or another? You've got children. Is there children from first, second marriage, or adopted, or people you care about in the family? You've got a home. You've probably got some type of savings, retirement assets, accumulation of property, car, an old truck. You got collectibles, things that are important to you. How do you want that handled? And if you've got more than one child, and you're the second to die, how's that going to go? We see, and one of the things we deal with so much, Wes, is somebody that's helping that second to die parent. They're needing more help because the spouse is gone, so it's them. And if there's a case where there's not a lot of money, and we had a caller months ago regarding a situation that her mom is ailing, and she had already given a portion of the property to her then. What would be that term?
That was a donation at that time.
Yeah. But the others have not received it, and we don't think that was quite the way to handle it. But you've got to have a discussion with the other two, and I believe one of the problems coming is one of the other two that's going to inherit a third of the property kind of wants to be cashed out. And you got to sort through those situations, and even if you do have a bias or somebody's helped you more, you got to work through that, and that's why you need to have. And you think, well, I don't have a lot. Well, you really need to have a will, and you need to have a power of attorney, and I believe financial as well as medical, to sort through that. And it makes it easier if somebody should be in charge, or even if you're putting them all equal, what are you expecting is what you're getting across there. We've got about a minute to break. Thought right there on kind of core, basic, I think everybody should have.
Yeah, I mean, I think what you're striking at is the idea that you're in control of what you're trying to do with your asset distribution, and sometimes it's not going to be a fair split down the middle between, your 1, 2, 3, or 4 children. And so having something in place that acknowledges that and ensures that it comes to pass is perfect. Having the power of attorney towards the end is definitely a necessity. We see it all the time, folks calling and searching for a power of attorney, but it's a little too late at that point.
Yeah, so we're going to get into these parts when we come back from the break. And I came across an article this morning, and it's in regarding the thought is a gift to your family. I think this pre-planning and conversation is a gift by having. You're listening to Winning at Life. We'll be right back.
You all are so good. I've listened to you for years.
Ask Gregory is a financial podcast from the guys who bring you Winning at Life with Gregory Ricks.
I am near retirement, and I wish I would have been listening to y'all for the last couple of years.
Learn the ins, outs, do's, don'ts, rules, and tools of the financial world.
I have a broker. He has no idea what you and I just talked about.
From your 401k to your IRA to your pension to your Social Security to your Medicare.
Hi, Greg. Appreciate your service to the community.
From your ETFs to your precious metals.
The program helps to ground me. There's some personal, real life there.
Find the Ask Gregory podcast on the Winning at Life app, the iHeartRadio app, Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts, and Spotify, and wherever else you can find podcasts, probably.
That's exactly what I needed to know. Hey, I love your show.
Investment advisory services offered through AE Wealth Management, LLC. The firm is not affiliated with the U.S. government or any governmental agency.
What does your ideal retirement look like? Is it traveling the world, fishing whenever you want, spending time with the grandkids, or maybe you don't know yet? Hi, I'm Gregory Ricks. Let us help you plan the retirement you deserve. Give us a call or go to GregoryRicks.com to schedule a visit. We are Gregory Ricks & Associates, the Total Wealth Authority.
The firm provides insurance services, investment, and advisory services. Offered only by duly registered individuals through AE Wealth Management, LLC. AE Wealth Management, LLC. Gregory Ricks & Associates are not affiliated companies.
If you like money, you'll love the Winning at Life app. On the Winning at Life app, you can listen to the show live, and if we're not on at the moment, you can hear a replay of the latest episode of Winning at Life. Whether you're getting a late start on your retirement savings or keeping up with the financial news, Winning at Life with Gregory Ricks is there, on demand. Hear the Winning at Life show on the Winning at Life app, your wallet's favorite app.
We are living in historic times, extraordinary times. A lot of people need help right now, and I want you to remember your local food bank. Now, here in New Orleans, it's Second Harvest Food Bank. Over in Mobile, they've got Feeding the Goal. But you can find your local food bank, feedingamerica.org. Food donations, monetary donations, or I know you've got some free time. Find your local food bank. Support your local food bank, especially in times like this. Do some good. feedingamerica.org.
Fox News, I'm Ted Lindner. President Biden set to meet with Chinese President Xi Jinping this coming Wednesday. Wisconsin Republican Congressman Mike Gallagher reacting to the meeting and discusses his thoughts on China possibly taking over Taiwan.
Xi has been making his move as we have been trying to get this meeting set up. Months of high-level diplomacy have led up to this meeting between Biden and Xi. We've dispatched numerous cabinet secretaries and whatever John Kerry is to China to beg for this meeting, and it's come at a cost. For over 2 years, the administration has not sanctioned a single Chinese or Hong Kong official.
Gallagher speaking this morning on Fox, and today is Veterans Day 2023.
Veterans Day falls on November 11th because that's the anniversary of the signing of the armistice that ended World War I, the 11th hour of the 11th day of the 11th month.
And the president this morning in Arlington National Cemetery laying a wreath at the Tomb of the Unknowns. America's listening to Fox News.
Winning at Life with Gregory Ricks is a copyright of Down South Strategies for the private use of our audience. Any unauthorized use of this broadcast without express consent is prohibited. For podcasts, show information, and contacts to our sponsors, go to winningatlife.com or download the Winning at Life app. If you have a financial situation and you're not quite sure what to do, you better call Gregory. We are Winning at Life with Gregory Riggs.
It's a little too loud on the highway. I wanna pull back in your driveway. It's way too quiet at night.
Welcome back to Winning at Life. Here on the break, talking about the tailgating this afternoon up at LSU. Ross was reaching out to me. You know, he's making Ross pecan. To describe it, I guess it's an alligator-like gumbo. Or has some alligator meat in it. So maybe that's something to do with the Florida game, huh? Just saying. So looking forward to getting together with friends and all up there. It's a fun place, and so I'll be headed up there after the show. You going, Wes?
I'm not.
Okay. I think game time's like at 6:30. By the way, in case you didn't know. Evening. So it's not right now, so we're not having to compete against that. So let's talk a bit about the processes of the estate planning. You know, one of the things, the cost of inaction. Probate delays and expenses can be significant. Incorrect or outdated beneficiary designations can cause problem. Estate taxes and income taxes can be costly as well. People have two things that kind of hold them back. They feel unprepared or disorganized. Don't let that stop you. You take the step forward and get it started. And then the other situation they might consider uncomfortable is, you know, being pressed to go forward. Now, that's your choice. You don't press, our firm doesn't press. If you're comfortable with us, feel we've got your best interest, that we are looking out for you, we're giving you advice. And from an attorney standpoint, and I talked about this the other day, you know, those billable hours, people always worry about that. And you're the flat fee attorney type situation there, kind of subject to complication there. And that always varies a little bit, but you like to be comfortable. You don't want something awkward as well. I've known you for a long time. You'd rather just like, here, we'll do it for that. And there's clarity there on that. But, you know, we've seen people make a mess of their estates over the years because they didn't want to pay $1,000 or $800 or 12, whatever that price might be, a little less, a little more, or it'll be more with the trust work. But I've seen people lose million plus dollars over, let's call it $1,000 will. I'm like, that is crazy. So I think that's a value, whether you've got a couple $100,000 in value or $100,000 in value. But if you've got family, you've got a home, you've got a car, you have some type of savings, and you've got family that you want to leave instructions by for clarity. So that's kind of my thought on inaction. So the first thing to consider is a will. And one thing about it is, from working with us and our coordination together with you, Wes, is we'll help nudge them through it as far as reminders. Get back on the calendar. Let's get this taken care of. Even if they put it off, we'll do a nudge from time to time. Your thought on, because one of the questions you brought up is the speed of the process. So to kind of get started, let's talk about getting a will started.
Yeah, so, you know, I do want to hop right back to one of the things you mentioned kind of on the intro to the question, and it's that idea that not having something in place can cost you a lot of money. That's not a myth. That's something I handle a lot of succession work as well, right? I've seen that multiple times. You'd be shocked at how many seven-figure estates have handwritten wills, or some portion of the will that ends up handwritten. So maybe you have a properly prepared will from an attorney, but you got 2 or 3 amendments that you decided to just go ahead and handle on your own. And you know, you're really taking a risk, obviously, at that point, and you don't want to create the issue. But you know, there's been quite a few of the succession litigations that I've been in. Number one, they have the money that's worth fighting over, so everybody's lawyered up. But number two, they usually have some form of a handwritten will in there. And so, as you mentioned, you're saving a couple $100 to create a potential issue over what's likely, you know, a 7-figure estate or approaching it. So one of the things that we do for our clients, you mentioned as well, is a flat fee. But we want to be a one-time flat fee, right? So you come in and you pay to have your wills and your powers of attorney put in place, a revocable trust maybe if that's your issue. And then if you want to make changes, those are free. Those are free. So we want to incentivize you to do it the right way, to do it properly, right? Because we don't want you to have spent the money getting your house in order, so to speak, and then, hey, look, you know, I just got a little bit busy, but I really wanted to make that change, and so I just hand wrote it, and I forgot to actually come back in and, you know, get it tightened up. So I just left it be, and I stapled it to the back of my will, and I hope that really went well for you. And I certainly hope that it doesn't get lost on the back of that will, since it was, you know, written on a small notepad and didn't quite fit the same size paper. And anyway, there's a lot of things that can obviously go wrong, but we want to make sure that that's not an issue, that cost is not an issue. When you make that change, we have plenty of clients call into the office or they shoot me an email. Hey, Wes, I'm looking specifically at, you know, on page 3 here, and I want to make this adjustment. Okay, look, here's what that looks like. I'm gonna send you back a draft. Is that what it looks like for you? Is that how you want it to read? Yeah. Okay, great. Let's meet. You know, we can meet tomorrow. The work's done, just that quickly. And it kind of circles back to the entire point of the speed that we're trying to achieve for your estate plan. And one of the biggest things that people are concerned with is, man, I don't how long is this gonna take me? You know, I have to sit there and think about everything I own and who's getting A, B, and C, and then X, Y, and Z as well. That's going to take forever. But the reality is something that you and I talked about on air and at these events as well. Most of the time, we're painting with that broad brush. We're coming in and saying, hey, look, you know, Billy and Sally are splitting everything down the middle. Maybe Billy gets the guns and Sally gets the wedding rings, but after that, everything's down the middle. And so it's a step back for the client, and they understand all of a sudden, whoa, hold on, that was not as unapproachable as I thought it was. I thought this was going to be a real big decision-making event for me, and And oftentimes you have this picture in your head, and you may think it's just going to be more complicated when I get into the office and I talk it through. My intent is to make it less complicated than you might actually think it could be. And then from there, we're going to hit the ground running, right? We have just a quick information form for you to fill out. Let me know who's involved in the will. Let me know, their names, their dates of birth, and that sort of thing. How do I get in touch with them? How do they get in touch with me? And then from there, our turnaround time is going to be somewhere between a week to 2 weeks. We understand that most of the time you've been procrastinating this for years.
That's one of the questions we're asked about over time is why does succession probate take so long a lot of times? And it's because you don't have a will. You don't have things aligned like that. It creates controversy. And there's one important thing that we talked about a few weeks back when you were on the show is independent administration.
Yeah, and that's a big deal. And that's something that the power that you grant to your executor in your will that allows that executor to administer your handle your estate without having to request permission or authority from the court to take particular action. So if you're thinking about selling assets, that's something that the power that you grant to your executor, taking action sometimes as a family business that needs to be run. You may need court approval your estate take large without having that business request permission. You may need court approval just to continue to run that business. So if you're thinking about that selling assets, you can't really paying off rents, or taking action sometimes as a family-business legislature that needs to be run. You may really want to make sure you opt into that orange action. That's where it needs to be. Otherwise, what you're asking is for every heir to agree things that we know you can't executor for number one, and then all of them agree to give that person basically unfettered powers back, right? And you really want to make sure you that happen a few times here or there, but it is not as common. Otherwise,
so when they're going through the will process,
every heir to agree
them make a decision on that executor.
And then all of them look, we're not here to basically unfettered power. But we do gather the group of folks that happen a few times in the running, and then we talk through what's this person's.
So when they're going through the will process,
are they a little more financially inclined? Do they have the time? Do they have the wherewithal? Absolutely. And look, we're not here to tell you kind of run through those characteristics, but we do gather the group of folks that think are in the running, and then we talk through. Hey,
and should they communicate that
and weaknesses are they a little more financially inclined?
It's a big job.
It is. They have the
wherewithal. Let's talk more about that. And the next step, trust, when we come back from the break. See, I told you this is some great stuff. We all need to utilize Wes Blanchard at WJ Blanchard.
Absolutely.
Friend, colleague, and
let's talk more about that and
people with
and
their
the next
estates.
step, trust.
You're listening to Winning at Life.
The break. See,
We'll
I
be
told
right
you this
back.
is some great stuff.
If you've got a financial situation and you're not quite sure what to do, you better call Gregory.
Think of a hinge on a giant door. See, when you come into one of my conference rooms, there's like this 10-foot door. That door that was there was set to the side. So I went to pick it up, took a step, had to set it back down. I didn't have any leverage. The same door's got 3 hinges, which are like nothing in comparison to the door. That's the way a fixed indexed annuity keeps working. The interest rate is like these hinges, which gives you the ability to leverage the indexes for more upside. So I could get possibly 0 on that leverage, or I could get 2, 3, 4% or even more over time.
Gregory Ricks and Associates. Find us at GregoryRicks.com or call 504-832-9200. Investment advisory services offered through AE Wealth Management, LLC.
Mom, it stinks.
Hush, I'm almost done. All right, now you're safe from bugs in the backyard. Don't let mosquitoes ruin your outdoor fun. Call Mosquito Joe today. When you call, they come out and they do the spraying. Mosquito Joe's time-release capsule lasts for about a month. No more sticky bug sprays. Take back your backyard. NewOrleans.mosquitojoe.com. NewOrleans.mosquitojoe.com.
Ask Gregory is a financial podcast from the guys who bring you Winning at Life with Gregory Ricks.
Could this be your Social Security, your 401k, pension, lump sum, your debt, student debt, credit cards?
You all are so good. I've listened to you for years. Sometimes I'll pull over to the side of the road and just listen.
Find the Ask Gregory podcast on the Winning at Life app, the iHeartRadio app, Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts, and Spotify. Investment advisory services offered through AE Wealth Management, LLC.
The Ricks Report with Gregory Ricks.
You know, one of the things I get questions about often is about investing. Hey, I've got some money. What should I do? Where should I put it? I'll ask next, how much money are we talking about? Well, yeah, I've got $5,000 to invest. So where should I go with it? And then the next question would be, is that emergency money? Do you have another account with emergency money in that? And a lot of times the answer is no. Then my next point would be, that sure sounds like emergency money. And you need to have that before you go elsewhere, saving or investing.
Winning at Life with Gregory Ricks, Saturday mornings at 10 on News Talk 99.5 WRNO. Find us on the Winning at Life app or GregoryRicks.com. Investment advisory services offered through AE Wealth Management, LLC.
Ain't it fun?
Y'all had a plant, private, med something.
Hey, y'all.
And I was like,
Welcome back to Winning at Life.
Onto
Want to mention to you my news blog. Go to GregoryRicks.com,
Unless you're saving
the news blog, and there's a whole bunch of articles there from my reading.
Hey, y'all.
That
Welcome back to Winning at Life.
I think can help you
Want to
quite a
mention
bit.
to you my
I'm kind of this topic I'm going to cover in an hour or two regarding Medicare. I was looking to see if that's up there yet. It's not, but it will be up there next week.
I think can help you.
We typically are posting something a few times a week, things that are really important to me. And this one, if we're talking about today, it's moved up in importance. But, Social Security, the problem is growing, a tax break worth the hassle. Social Security, what is the first year of retirement rule? Rich Americans are giving up on the stock market. There's so many topics here. It's just a great resource to
Social Security, the problem
improve your
growing,
financial
tax break,
knowledge. So I was talking to Wes
Security,
about that
first year of
article
retirement
from
rule, rich
NBC
Americans
News.
are giving up on the
He
stock
might stick
market.
around and talk about it. with me a
There's
little
so many
bit.
topics here.
It's kind of
Just
going to be
a
some
great
aha
resource
moments for a lot of people listening to the show
improve your financial
today regarding that topic.
So I
So
was
let's
talking
get back to the estate planning. We were at some great material thoughts there regarding the wills, the independent administration, meaning you're not having to wait for a judge to sign off. To explain that a little bit deeper, without that, and you need to make a change or make something happen or sell that property or retitle that car or split up that account,
administration, meaning you're not
with the
having
will,
to wait for a judge to sign
and
off.
no independent
To explain that
administrator,
a little bit deeper.
you're going to have to make a request. You're going to get an attorney to make a request to the judge, and the judge's clerk has got to get them to sign off on it at some point. You're adding more steps, and that's why this takes a while under that. And we're shortening that, and then you're making a decision on your independent administrator and your executor. And we kind of parted with that thought is you help them with that, and it's something we've talked about in the past. We should make sure who you're deciding on is okay with that responsibility. And there was a story I shared at the event where
you help them.
I read in an article about a spouse that was kind of like,
who you're deciding
what do we
on
do?
is
Her
okay
husband's
with that responsibility.
sister is administrator over the mom's account that's in a long-term care facility and has sold some property, but she does not share what's going on whatsoever, and that's wrong. So we want to be open
and pass that along. And I think that's why I appreciate you sharing that you do have those conversations, and we want to make sure who's going to be that executor is okay with it. But give them.
So we want to
it's
be
like this isn't a top secret thing. You're going to oversee it, but this is a sharing thing with the family of what's going on.
Yeah, and that's the main idea
sure
too. Is just because your executor is okay with it, but
doesn't
mean that he or she has the power to just freewheel and do whatever they think is the most beneficial. They are held to that fiduciary standard. Yeah, right now, what that means is they have to act in the best interest of the state. It doesn't mean that they're invalid. You know, if they can defend their position, then they probably will be given the deference, whatever they think is. But that is the guise that they have. They're held to that for the entire time.
It's a legal responsibility as well. So you've got to do the right thing, make sure the tax bills are paid, and everybody is aware of their responsibility.
Yeah, and look, when we see that independent guise, they have to act on directive the entire time.
It's a legal responsibility.
Absolutely. We pay down the debt quickly so that we don't have interest continue to accrue. But think about the other side of those transactions. Yeah, and you have to go ask for independent. So you mentioned the delay. The delay also translates into increase the house quickly, and that's from the pay down the debt quickly. But also think about it from the debt and interest perspective. But think about the other side of that is holding a high balance when you have to go ask for it right now. Right. So you mentioned the delay. So if the delay also translates 30 days just to get a hearing cost. And that's from the people paying the lawyer. I mean, it's about from the debt and interest perspective. And so if you have a credit detriment to the estate that is holding a high balance, able to act quickly. And I think everybody banks are loving to agree, right? So if it takes you 30 days just to get a hearing date, but once we've got you paying our lawyer, I mean, we should pay that fee on quickly as possible. And so it really is a detriment to the estate. If you don't have that ability, and I think everybody in the state would agree, look, maybe we should try to negotiate also look down sale the house. But once we've got them down as far as we have a buyer, we should pay that as quickly as possible, especially in this interest rate on your houses are not selling. If you have a buyer that wants to come in and they're telling you, look, I need to close in 2 weeks, but because I've got plans and I've got this and I've got that, and say, sorry, buddy, sometimes you have a buyer minimum want to close 30 days, especially in this climate, where houses are not selling. You might lose a buyer.
So you're talking months where it could be done in a matter of weeks with a ready buyer, the family's ready to offload this.
Yeah, and again, those are times that, look, if you know and everybody else is seeing the same thing, hey, we need to sell this house in 2 weeks because the mortgage is accruing. The expenses are there as well. And, if it's going to take us 2 more months, well, then that's 2 more months of mortgage payments.
Okay, let's give them another aha here. What would make that even easier? It's a revocable trust.
Oh, yeah, of course. So look, this is a whole different ballpark. If you're dealing with a revocable trust, you're outside of this entire process that we're discussing.
Yeah, it takes it away from that. The will, you still pour over it, just is to kind of clean up stuff. But the revocable trust, I love those.
Yeah, it keeps you out of court in the first place. Right, and so this entire discussion that we're having now and that we had in the previous segment about trust, what kind of administration is the most beneficial and standard that the executives got to display?
It takes it away from that. The
will,
you still
on the
pour over
certainly
it,
the trustee
kind of clean
has
up
to do what's
stuff.
right,
Revocable trust.
But you're not worried about legal delays. You're not really worried about and so this entire discussion that we're having now that we had in the previous segment about how this and the entire administrations and things like that are just standard that the executives got on display. None of that is even on the table. Certainly the trustee has to do what's right. By far the best route. But you're not worried about not only the time really worried about that we're talking about, and you're going to get the ins and outs that we're having to pay, but you're going to save money on this and then a law clerk that you're basic things like that are just not in both of your successions. From my at the end of the day, revocable trust, especially for somewhere between $28 to $3,000. Not only that time, obviously your life that we're talking about, and you're going to get the ease of administration calculations right there. But you're going to save money on it as well.
Well, this can impact more than just the real estate. Other things that are being held of value, but also investment accounts, especially non-qualified. A lot of times what happens when there's a death of an owner, that account's frozen until clarity comes to who's the new owner of the account, and that process is verified right there. So if you're holding stock positions or whatever investments, they're kind of locked down at that point till that beneficiary is clarified.
Of an owner, that account's frozen.
Bank accounts are a little bit different, but what we
clarity comes
just don't want that to be tied up in some long process.
And that's things that I've heard from you and from Nicholas at the office as well. Is, sometimes that freeze occurs in a brokerage account, and the stock is locked,
clarified,
and the market's moving in a direction that we don't like.
Bank
or that
accounts
we
are
need to be taking advantage of. And so until that administration happens through the will and the succession
process,
that's things that I've heard from, and that's at the office as well. Planning that sometimes that freeze occurs in a
there was a situation
and the stock is locked.
And a year or so ago, I remember somebody had power of attorney over a parent, and they were requesting a distribution to handle some financial stuff. And while that paperwork was going, the parent died.
Yeah, there was
and
a
that distribution couldn't happen. Then
a year or so ago, I remember.
Because it brought it, well, what if we predate or what? I said, there's no games here. No, it is not going forward because they're going to know. In fact, we're going to tell them and be completely accurate about everything from that standpoint. So that's where, you just could have the untimed or untimely death, and that impacts the financials right there.
It is not going
well,
forward.
Any other rules regarding
in fact,
the
we're going
trust
to
or
tell
that
the
process? Are those pretty easy?
Accurate.
We're taking weeks, months, or a lot of visits for that to come together?
Turnaround time.
You just could have the
there's a little more information that needs to hit my desk. So, the data collection takes a little bit longer, but assuming that the information is on my desk.
Any other rules regarding the trust or that
pretty
process?
Good, huh? So this isn't going to take us months and
weeks,
all kind of stress on figuring it out. Pretty simple. So when we come back from the break, the other thing we're going to jump into is the power of
data collection
attorney.
takes a little bit longer, but
really, really
that
important to
information is on my
document
desk, that turnaround time
for living life as well
So this isn't going to take us months
as on the back end that's needed necessary as well. So we're going to take a few minute break here to hear the music coming.
The other thing that we're going to jump into.
Wes is committed to add on one more segment with us. So if you've got a financial situation, not sure what to do, give us a call, 504-260-0995.
Is on the back end.
We are winning at life.
As well.
And we'll
we're going
be
to take
right
a
back.
few minute break here. You hear the music.
From the Gregory Ricks and Associates Wealth Management Studios, WRNO FM, New Orleans, an iHeart radio station.
Attacks on U.S. forces continue to grow. I'm Ted Lindner, Fox News. Multiple one-way drones targeting U.S. forces at the Rumlin landing zone in northeast Syria this morning. One drone was shot down. The other impacted the Rumlin landing zone but did not detonate. No injuries or damage reported to infrastructure. This according to a statement and description from a U.S. defense official. It's the sixth attack on U.S. forces since the U.S. airstrikes in Syria Wednesday night, November 8th, and the 48th attack since October 17th. This all as the war between Israel and Hamas continues to rage on. The Israeli military still facing the fight at their northern border from Hezbollah. Fox's Alex Hogan with more.
The IDF says it is firing back, striking back at Hezbollah targets. Local media reporting even one strike as far in as 25 miles across the border, which definitely is significant given how far away from the border that strike potentially on this truck would have been. And the IDF says it will continue to hammer secure these Hezbollah sites to protect civilians who live in these border towns. Now, moving further south, taking a look at what is taking place in Gaza, the Israeli military says that it has struck 15,000 Hamas targets since October 7th, and that it's also seized as many as 6,000 weapons.
Saudi Arabia and Muslim countries are calling for an immediate end to military operations in Gaza.
Now, many believe it was Saudi Arabia's warming relations with Israel that sparked the October 7th massacre. There's that big Arab summit in Riyadh. Some non-Arabs also showing up. Iran's president is in Saudi Arabia for the first time in 11 years after the two countries restored diplomatic relations in March. Now, President Biden hopes China will help mediate the end to this war between Israel and Hamas when President Biden meets China's President Xi Jinping in San Francisco.
Fox's Lucas Tomlinson. America's listening to Fox News.
Hey y'all, welcome back. And newbies, welcome. This is Winning at Life. If you're catching the show for the first time, I am your host, Gregory Ricks. We've been doing the show for better than 13 years. It's live radio. You can join in the conversation. We have Wes Blanchard with us. He's hanging around for another segment. I'm not going to talk long so I can get to the rest of this information we're trying to cover. When we do the education desk, we try to keep it within an hour. Our Q&A ran long the other day, but that is kind of, I don't want it to be wear people out. After about an hour, they kind of had enough. And that's why we have 3 one-hour segments on the radio show. So this is a lot, but everybody doesn't necessarily stick around for the whole show. But I have a lot of tell me, I get my coffee, get my paper, and I sit and listen to you for 3 hours, and it's awesome. And hopefully, we do a good job of being of service to the public with this show. But if you want to join the conversation, 504-260-0995. Now, we've been talking about estate planning, kind of that process, and we've touched on wills, trusts. Next is the power of attorney. Help us out. What does that mean and why?
Yeah, so a document I think a lot of the listeners are familiar with, but just at its core, it's a document that allows you to appoint another individual to act on your behalf and make certain decisions for you. Typically, you'll see a financial power of attorney and a medical power of attorney. Sometimes you see those two documents blended into one. We separate those out because I think we recognize that while it would be ideal to have the same people across both documents, the reality is that's not always the case. And so you may have some folks that are much more inclined to assist you in a financial perspective and others who are much more inclined to assist you from a medical perspective. So we do separate those documents out. That being said, very important on both fronts. And again, it's something we touched on at the beginning of the show in the first hour. Our documents typically are written such that there's a trigger point for activation, right? So when you give this person this authority, you may do a really good job planning in your 40s, but you're far away from actually needing someone to help you. You just want that plan behind you to make sure that if things head in the wrong direction, someone can be there to assist. But you're not looking to give that person authority to act now, right? Or over the next 40 years even. So the triggers is that your incapacitation needs to occur, and a doctor needs to verify that. And once those things have happened, then that authority is given to the person you've appointed. But it can also be reversed. So if you're only temporarily incapacitated, okay, and you regain your ability to make your decisions, well, then it turns right back off. So it's a flexible document. But what it does is it gives you that protection. So it's not rigid, it's not going to expose you, but it gives you that protection. The key to it is that you need to have it in place before you actually need it.
It's kind of hard to get when you do need it.
Yeah. And we've seen that, and you know, we've had a lot of calls and inquiries about trying to get this power of attorney in place, and we get part of the conversation, you know, and we realize that the person who's asking for help is actually the person who's trying to help mom or dad right now because they're currently incapacitated. And unfortunately, we cannot help you with the power of attorney at that point. And look, we've gone as far as having opportunities and trying to take advantage of moments when mom or dad has some lucidity, right? They can come in and they may be having a really good morning, and we can take advantage of that. But those are rare cases. And we know that. So they haven't quite hit that wall in full yet. And so, you know, you really are cutting it close, but you can help. Other times, there's just not much you can do. You know, they passed that threshold and it's not coming back. And so you really are forced to manage what you can with the tools that you have. You know, hopefully you're on some bank accounts and can get in there and make payments. Hopefully the folks that you're working with, whether it's a mortgage company or a hospital or a long-term care provider, believes you and understands that you are the kin of the person that you're trying to help.
Let's jump to Advanced Healthcare Directive.
Yeah, these are documents. This is a living will. They kind of go by the same name, but what it is it's a statement more or less of your wishes for end of life care. If you're on a breathing machine and a ventilator is the only thing that's keeping you alive, and some fluids are being pumped in, and you know the doctors have come in and said, look, this is not going to change. You know, mom and dad's not coming back. This is an irreversible condition. Modern medicine is amazing. Every single day you hear about something new that is really going to affect our longevity. And so they can keep you alive, you know, keep your heart pumping, keep your lungs pumping, but effectively, you know, you're brain dead, and you know your life is going to look like what it looks like now. So you've made that statement in this document saying, look, if I've reached that point and these 4 boxes are checked, so to speak, just let me go, and I'm ready to get out. You know, and the doctor is never going to look the family in the face and say, hey, look, I've got to turn this machine off because this is what Greg's saying. That's never going to happen, right? But what it does at a bare minimum is it allows the family member to understand that they're following wishes as opposed to making a decision, right? They're not burdened with that decision on their own. They're actually just doing what you requested that they do in the first place.
I've got a number of thoughts in my head, and some of this is from life experience, and I go back to the Advanced Healthcare Directive gives clarity why you're asking family member or children. Your spouse, and you might be a bit tighter on what to do, because I'm sure you've had, some talks about that. But when it goes down to your children then making decision, that's a lot more difficult. They know not to take any extra measures. I don't want to be put on support. I don't want to be fed. And then what happens when that decision time comes? Whether it's one or multiple, it's still an emotional decision, and it's kind of like they've got to make a decision to let go and not. And they've we can bring them back. I kind of call it juicing them up. They pump in the fluids, revitalize it. If they're needing blood or whatever to juice them up, then they're going to wind down again. And I had this with a family member not long ago, and it was probably last year, and with some ER visits happening. And I said, just want you to know where this is going. If you keep having ER visits, because they're having some reoccurring, if you're not solving that quickly and ER visits keep happening, death is coming. Just connect the dots. Death is coming. And that's a sign of that. Then it's going to be, how are you just going to keep doing the ER visit every month to pull them back? So that's where this kind of leads. So it's kind of an indication. And one of the things about the power of attorney that's important, and I kind of go this as the generation. I'm in my early 60s. Let's see. Yeah, I'm 63. So I kind of go with when I say our parents, an older generation are not so, it doesn't seem as much sharing about the health care and stuff and open. I might be different. My age group might be trying to keep it all close as well, but I'm very proactive on health, and I don't mind talking and sharing about it. And if I've got a problem, I want to know about it and I want to deal with it. But others seem to put it off and keep it close. So I think it's why medical power of attorney and having a conversation with your family, with your parents, not just on Thanksgiving or Christmas, but other times than that about what's going on. And what I found is they don't always come clean on what's going on medical wise. And when they die, those medical records are locked down. You're not going to be getting that stuff after the fact. It's a high degree of difficulty at that point. But having access and a relationship where they will let you see the records, or if there's a portal and get a POA to have access to that to help them. And you might not should be more involved in the visits, but also just having that open communication to knowing what's going on. And I think it's where we delve a little bit deeper so that you know what's going on. And then, of course, the parents with the children sharing on what their plans are and making this a lot better.
Yeah, and it really does circle back to that level of communication. Whether it's in regard to any of these documents, we covered the will, the trust, the POA, the healthcare directive, all of that's important, but the main theme is communication, whether it's, again, with your attorney, making sure your plan is structured the way you want, and then ultimately with your family to make sure that they understand your wishes. Again, some of that's going to be kind of private, obviously. Some folks don't really want to disclose the structure of the inheritance, and that's totally fine. That's totally fine.
Expect some pushback, but there should be some communication. Like, do you have? And they may not want to go into it, but do you have these documents in place? And if not, need to encourage them, give them the nudges. This is going to make better. Then you're also, when death occurs, you got to plan a funeral. This is difficult and expensive. We talked about this a few weeks ago regarding my wife's mom passing, and her dad already decades ago had bought the vaults and stuff. But still, the funeral. And this has to come together quickly. It's such an emotional time. It's not something you go in there and negotiate. I don't know if it's negotiable at all, but it's sure not something you're going to go in and go, well, hold on. Is there another funeral home we can talk to?
Sure.
Is this your best deal? No, none of that's happening. And it's emotional, and you might spend more. Heck, an obit costs $500-$600 to post. Bills over $13,000, and the vaults were already done decades ago.
Jeez.
It's going to shock you
Yeah.
when that comes together. We're going to keep Wes a few more minutes. I'm going to twist his arm. I'm going to lock the door, not let him out. We're going to wrap this up next segment. I want to talk about the taxes and penalties and so forth that estate planning can help you with. This is Winning at Life. We'll be right back.
Ask Gregory is a financial podcast from the guys who bring you Winning at Life with Gregory Ricks.
I'm your host, Gregory Ricks, a financial advisor here to answer your questions and help you win with your money.
Find the Ask Gregory podcast on the Winning at Life app, the iHeartRadio app, Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts, and Spotify.
That's exactly what I needed to know. Simple information from good people.
Investment advisory services offered through AE Wealth Management, LLC.
What's cooking, Gumbo Nation? This is Dwayne Stein of Mortgage Gumbo. Buying a home in today's market is brave. At MortgageGumbo.com, my free second look saves listeners and homeowners like you thousands in interest, reduced fees, and lower interest rate. Before you buy, trust but verify with Mortgage Gumbo's free second look. Let me shop the best options for you today. Trusted for 30 plus years, I'll earn yours also. Visit mortgagegumbo.com.
If you like money, you'll love the Winning at Life app. On the Winning at Life app, you can listen to the show live, and if we're not on at the moment, you can hear a replay of the latest episode of Winning at Life. Whether you're getting a late start on your retirement savings or keeping up with the financial news, Winning at Life with Gregory Ricks is there, on demand. Hear the Winning at Life show on the Winning at Life app, your wallet's favorite app.
Less than half of Americans have drawn up a will. If you don't have one, you know you need to get one. But what if you do have a will? Is it up to date? Has anyone in your family been married, divorced, or passed away? Have any new family members been born or adopted? Don't leave your loved ones in a bind. Call me, and we'll make you a plan or update your existing plan. Hi, I'm Wes Blanchard, an estate planning attorney in Metairie. What's your plan? Find me at wjblanchardlaw.com.
The Ricks Report with Gregory Ricks.
If you do not have money set aside, you do not have retirement assets, you don't have significant savings, you're thinking, well, when should I turn on Social Security? I'll answer that for you right now. You should probably work as long as you possibly can and as much as you can, because that means you defer Social Security as long as you can up to age 70. And you can keep working past that. That's fine. But at age 70, you have to turn it on because you've maximized it there. And you've created the largest possible payment, and you're going to need all of that.
Winning at Life with Gregory Ricks, Saturday mornings at 10 on News Talk 99.5 WRNO. Find us on the Winning at Life app or GregoryRicks.com. Investment advisory services offered through AE Wealth Management, LLC.
Welcome back, Winning at Life, live financial news talk radio. I'm your host, Gregory Ricks, CEO, founder of Gregory Ricks and Associates, the Total Wealth Authority, retirement planning and financial advisors, retirement solutions, and financial advisors. To help you with your financial decisions, my office number is 504-832-9200. The website's GregoryRicks.com. Offices in Metairie, Louisiana, Mandeville, Louisiana, Baton Rouge, Louisiana, and Gulfport, Mississippi. And because of technology, we do work with clients across the country. With that said, Wes helps our clients as well. Wes does not work for us, but works with us in a way that he takes care of clients when they're needing wills, powers of attorney,
With
trust,
said,
business
Wes
structuring, and planning along those, and has those conversations.
Wes does not
And,
work for us,
and is there to be of
with us
service
in a
and
way
help,
that
and
he
he and
takes
I
care
brainstorm
of clients when they're
and talk
needing,
weekly about things
wills,
and make sure we
powers
share
of attorney,
ideas. How
trust,
are you reachable?
Yeah, so I guess if you're already in
planning
Greg's
along those,
ecosystem,
and
then
has
we'll
those
get you in touch with us for
conversations.
sure. We coordinate between our offices
is there
on
to
a
be of
regular
service
basis, as you
and help,
mentioned.
and he and I
Independently, you can
brainstorm
reach us at wjblanchardlaw.com. Our phone number is 504-500-8473.
Make sure we share
And
ideas.
look, we make everything
How
pretty easy a lot of times.
reach
A lot of times we end up, I guess if you're already in meetings, you know, on a back-to-back basis with a lot of Greg's clients, if you're in there already and kind of want to make sure that, you know, we can be the most efficient that we can be with that time. We really do our best to accommodate. Phone number is 504. Again, we're trying to make life easy. And look, we make everything pretty easy.
Yeah, when somebody
a lot of times
is
we end up
onboarding or starting a relationship with us, we do talk about them with them about the estate plan and question, what do you have, so we can know what we're missing, what, and help them understand that process. And if they don't have things in place, we give them the nudges. And sometimes we're also wanting
Yeah,
to
when
review
somebody
what they have in
is
place, and which
onboarding
kind of
or
also
starting a
leads me
relationship
to
with
is
us,
we don't want to
do
make
talk
our
about that with
IRAs
them about
and our
the
401ks or qualified
What
accounts.
do you
We
have?
don't want
So
the
we can know what we're
beneficiary
missing,
to
what-
be a
and
trust.
help them
And that's something
understand
to
that
talk about. And
process.
if you do have that, you might want to give us a call,
Give them the nudge.
because you may have
Sometimes
created
we're
a
also wanting
taxable
to review
event.
what they
It's
have
highly
in place,
likely.
and which
Yeah, those
kind of also
circumstances, yes.
leads me to
So
we don't want to make
it's an
our
error, it's a
IRAs
mistake. You die, you won't know, but you
401ks or
created a
qualified
taxable
accounts.
event
We
that
don't want the
probably not is in the
beneficiary
best
to
interest
be
of the
a
beneficiary
trust.
from that
That's something-
standpoint. But that's part of that
if you do
coordination
have
with
that,
us to
you
make
might
sure
wanna give us
things
a
are
call.
done right. And
You may
the
have
reason we
created
asked
a
about it
taxable
and
event.
look to see if
Highly
there's
likely.
Yeah, most
any
circumstances,
errors
yes.
from that standpoint.
So
One of the other
errors,
things
it's a mistake,
I
you die, you
wanted to
won't
talk
know,
about
but you created
is
a
kind of
taxable
big
event
concerns
that
when we're
probably
dealing
not is in
with
the best interest of
Medicaid.
the
This comes up where we
from
had
that
a
standpoint. But that's part of that
conversation
coordination
not
with us
too
to make sure
far
things
back
are done
where a
right.
situation
And
came
the
up
reason we asked
that
about it and see if there's
the mom's
any
health
errors from
situation's
that
declining, keeps having
One of
health
the
problems,
other
which is
things
going to
I
probably
wanted to talk
lead to
about is
long-term
kind of big concern
care,
when we're
and
dealing
then
with
he
Medicaid.
basically
This comes
is going to
up where we
lead
had
to Medicaid.
conversation not too far back
The
where a
parent has
situation
somewhere
came up
around
that
60,
uh,
70,
the mom,
$80,000, but
health
knowing,
situation's
and there's no
declining,
spouse,
having
she
health
doesn't
problems, which
have a
is
home,
going to
she has a
probably
car,
lead to
she doesn't
long-term
have funeral plan.
care, and
Here's the
then
criteria. Single applicant for
basically
nursing home
is
care,
gonna
a
lead
single
to
individual applying for
Medicaid.
nursing home Medicaid in 2023
the parent
in
has
Louisiana
somewhere
must
around,
meet the following
60,
criteria.
70,
Have income under
$80,000, but knowing
$2,742 a
there's no
month. That's
spouse, she doesn't have a home,
$2,742 a month.
has a car,
Have assets
she
under
doesn't have a funeral
$2,000
plan,
and
but
require
here's the
the level
criteria.
of care
Single
provided
applicant for
in a
nursing home
nursing
care, a
home
single individual applying for
facility.
nursing home
So
Medicaid
let's
is
just say it was
2023 in
60,000. That
Louisiana
money's
must meet
got to be
the
spent
following
down towards that.
criteria.
Kind
Have income
of
under 20.
things that are acceptable to have and qualify
have
for
assets under $2,000.
Medicaid
require
is
the level of care
is the
provided
home,
in a nursing
a car,
home facility,
and money
So let's just say it was
is going to be
60,000,
okay
that
to
money's
spend up to
gotta be spent
$10,000 on that
towards that.
funeral
kind of
plan in advance, and that's
things
one reason
that
we've
are
started doing
acceptable to have and qualify for
burial trusts or funeral
Medicaid
home
is-
trusts. We create so it sets
the home,
aside money that money can be
car,
parked there to
and
go
money
towards that. In Louisiana, it's
is gonna be okay to
$10,000
spend
can
up
be
to
set aside.
$10,000 on
Mississippi's
that
up to
funeral
$15,000.
plan in
And
advance, and that's one reason
Medicaid
we
won't
started
have a
doing,
problem with that money being set aside, but if you start giving
burial
money to
trusts
Susie
or
and
funeral
Fred
home
and Tom,
trusts,
they're
we
going to
create
want,
so
there's a
it sets
5-year
aside
look
money
back.
that money can be
Any
parked
thoughts? And
to
then
go
my
towards
biggest
that.
worry, and I'm not going to give you the
Louisiana's
number, you may know it off the top of your
$10,000
head,
can be set
but
aside.
you know what I'm worried about,
Mississippi's up
if
to
this is a couple, what about the community spouse, the at-home
Medicaid
spouse,
won't
because
have a
money's
problem
getting
with
spent
it
down
being
there
set
too, at a
aside.
much higher level,
Start
but
giving
still,
money to Susie
doesn't
and
leave a
Fred
lot.
and Tom.
Right. And you mentioned too, you know, there's some assets that are not going to be countable.
And
in
then
those
my
two figures,
biggest worry, and I'm not going to give you the number, you might know it off the top of your head. But you know, what I'm
Medicaid
worried
is
about,
a
if this is
big
a
question
couple,
that a
what
lot of
about
our
the
clients
community
have when they
spouse,
come
that
in,
home spouse?
and they understand that, you know, looking
Much
at
higher
savings,
level,
looking
but
at the
still,
cost of long-term
doesn't
health
leave a
care,
lot.
right, and kind of incongruent, you know, there's some assets that are not going to be countable either at the end, and they want to try their best to avoid things like that. Unfortunately, but Medicaid is a big, using an irrevocable trust that a lot of our clients have when they come in. You know, they understand that you're looking at myself. I think it's a stretch of long-term health care. First of all, it's inexpensive. Two things are kind of incongruent. You know, they're really going to get started with. Secondly,
it really requires
a lot of attention, and they want to try their best. If you don't, unfortunately, stay on top of it and understand using an irrevocable trust to do that. You end up paying for an irrevocable trust that disqualifies you. But I don't. Not only do you not qualify, there's a penalty
because you tried to qualify in a way that was
really requires
not allowable. They would tell you no.
They would tell you no.
You do not qualify. And I see that you understand these three things. That cost this much, and as a result, you're penalized from even applying for the next 36
Yeah, so that's a warning you gave right there. Is they're going to look back 5 years, and if you put that house in a irrevocable trust, you're going to be disqualified as well.
Not allowable. You're in a bad spot, right? And the other thing to think about is
a lot of times you do have folks that cost this much, and as a result of money, you're penalized from even applying for the next. They're trying to run an end around.
That's a warning you
Medicaid
gave right there.
at the same time.
You're going to look back 5 years,
large retirement house. In our case, what we discuss often is
you're in a bad spot, right? And the other thing, so in Louisiana, you're at a lot of times you have folks who have the typical deal of money where Social Security benefit as in July, they're trying to run an end around and qualify for Medicaid.
So if you have a 401k or an IRA or an annuity making up the difference, in our case, you're in a world of trouble. You're not going to qualify. You just so Louisiana, some benefits are much higher. Oftentimes they are. 1,700 feels like a bit of a lowball. Social Security benefit $1,000. You disqualify just based on your Social Security.
So if you have a 401k,
you're still trying to run an end around.
Making up
the
concept is
Medicaid.
You're in a world of trouble. You're not going to qualify.
Do not misunderstand that some benefits are much higher than that.
So oftentimes they are 1,700.
They are going to make it specific.
2,500. I've seen 3,000.
Okay, so if you're wondering, confused, don't understand this, have a discussion with my team and your team as well about that to make sure you have an understanding. And Bill's going to have to be paid. What about business and planning?
They are going to
regarding estate and structuring.
Two of the biggest things that we see, blue collar backbones,
have a discussion with my team and your team.
It's a lack of business.
It's a lack of business.
About
Have an idea. Not only is part of who's going to inherit your business, but
whether your heirs
actually want to inherit.
Talked on the break
about certain businesses. You have, it could be two the biggest things that we see. Two restaurants. It could be blue collar
two businesses of any sort.
And you think, my kids are going to take that over. You need to have an idea.
What if your kids have no
People think kids want to leave their homes to their kids. Kids probably don't want those homes as well. And they may not want this. We were talking earlier about a business that folks are saying, well, yeah, I wanted to create structure and leave this to the kids. Are the kids involved in the business? No. But they might one day. Well, you might want to rethink that.
My kids want to leave their homes to their kids.
Correct.
Kids probably don't want to
say, I don't want any part of that business. But I like the land. But I like the land that business.
We were talking earlier about business.
You can have the business.
You can have the business. Go ahead and sell the business.
But I'll inherit the land. and lease out the structure.
So they go proper structuring.
You might want to rethink that.
Financials, which creates the value, verifies the value of the business, proper structuring, and let's say you could have a hardware store that is profitable, very profitable, and you own the property, but it might should be two entities there as an example.
Proper structuring.
I think that goes back to proper
financials, which creates the value, verifies the land, but also in your proper structuring.
Thank you, Wes, for being with us today. How can they reach you?
504-500-8347. Already on Gregory's line. Ask him how to get in touch with us. Put us in touch. Absolutely. We're about keeping it easy.
Yeah, estate planning is so important. I probably overwhelmed you, but here's what I say. Just take a step forward. Start a conversation. It's going to be okay. You can get this taken care of for you. We've got more to talk about this hour. Thank you again, Wes. We're going to take a short break. This is Winning at Life.
Estate.
Ask Gregory is the financial podcast from the guys who bring you Winning at Life with Gregory Ricks.
I'm your host, Gregory Ricks, a financial advisor here to answer your questions and help you win with your money.
Find the Ask Gregory podcast on the Winning at Life app, the iHeartRadio app, Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts, and Spotify.
That's exactly what I needed to know. Simple information from good people.
Investment advisory services offered through AE Wealth Management, LLC. Ask Gregory is a financial podcast from the guys who bring you Winning at Life with Gregory Ricks.
Could this be your Social Security, your 401k, pension, lump sum, your debt, student debt, credit cards?
You all are so good. I've listened to you for years. To the side of the road, I'm just listening.
Find the Ask Gregory podcast on the Winning at Life app, the iHeartRadio app, Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts, and Spotify. Investment advisory services offered through AE Wealth Management, LLC.
If you're unprepared for current market volatility and concerned about how it could impact you, take action now. I'm Gregory Ricks. Let us help you devise a strategy to navigate this market. Make sure you're still on track to reach your financial goals. Schedule a visit at GregoryRicks.com. We are Gregory Ricks & Associates, the Total Wealth Authority.
The firm provides insurance services, investment, and advisory services offered only by duly registered individuals through AE Wealth Management, LLC. AE Wealth Management, LLC, and Gregory Ricks & Associates are not affiliated companies.
If you like money, you'll love the Winning at Life app. On the Winning at Life app, you can listen to the show live, and if we're not on at the moment, you can hear a replay of the latest episode of Winning at Life. Whether you're getting a late start on your retirement savings or keeping up with the financial news, Winning at Life with Gregory Ricks is there on demand. Hear the Winning at Life show on the Winning at Life app, your wallet's favorite app.
We are living in historic times, extraordinary times. A lot of people need help right now, and I want you to remember your local food bank. Now, here in New Orleans, it's Second Harvest Food Bank. Over in Mobile, they've got Feeding the Gulf. But you can find your local food bank, feedingamerica.org. Food donations, monetary donations, or I know you've got some free time. Find your local food bank. Support your local food bank, especially in times like this. Do some good. Feedingamerica.org.
Fox News. I'm Paul Stevens. French President Emmanuel Macron on the BBC urging Israel to consider a ceasefire in Gaza.
We clearly condemn this terrorist attack and this terrorist group and recognize the right of Israel to protect itself and react. But day one, we say that this reaction and the fight against terrorism, because it is led by a democracy, should be compliant with international rules.
This as Israel implements 4-hour daily humanitarian pauses.
There is absolutely no ceasefire. The IDF is taking the war back to Hamas. The IDF is dismantling, destroying Hamas as we speak right now. We are enabling safe passages, safe humanitarian corridors for civilians to get out of harm's way.
Israeli foreign policy advisor Ophir Falk on Fox's Cavuto Live. America's listening to Fox News.
Winning at Life with Gregory Ricks is a copyright of Down South Strategies for the private use of our audience. Any unauthorized use of this broadcast without express consent is prohibited. For podcasts, show information, and contacts to our sponsors, go to winningatlife.com or download the Winning at Life app. If you have a financial situation and you're not quite sure what to do, you better call Gregory. We are Winning at Life with Gregory Ricks.
You're listening to Winning at Life.
Winning at Life.
Live financial news
Financial
talk
News
radio.
Talk Radio.
Hey, want to give a shout out
to Winning at Life.
our show sponsors, Dwayne Stein of MortgageGumbo.com, Jude Heath of J. Heath
Hey, want
and
to
Company,
give a shout out
CPAs, and you just heard Wesley
show sponsors,
Blanchard
Dwayne Stein
of J.
of
Blanchard Law,
MortgageGumbo.com,
Mosquito Joe,
New
NewOrleans.mosquitojoes.com.
You just heard Wesley
Hate
Blanchard,
those mosquitoes.
W.J. Blanchard Law,
Guys,
Mosquito
big help.
Joe, big help.
New Orleans Italia's Deli and Catering. Great place.
Great place. It's one we use
to do takeout, catering.
Big help.
Grab some
Italian
Italian
Deli
food
and Catering.
Mattery, Gregory Ricks and Associates, the Total Wealth Authority.
Takeout, catering.
Retirement Solutions and Financial Advisors. Yeah, I'm CEO, founder of that. But that's
Gregory Ricks and
show
Associates, the
sponsor
Total Wealth Authority.
as well. DNL Air Conditioning,
Retirement Solutions and Financial Advisors.
504-416.
Yeah, I'm CEO, founder of that. That's a show sponsor
1951
as well.
And shout out
DNL
to
Air Conditioning,
iHeartRadio
504-416. 19.
this possible.
951.
By the way,
And
if
shout
you're
out
looking for
to
career change, we're
iHeartRadio.
looking for to add to our client services team
This
and
possible.
advisor assistance.
By the way,
home office
if you're looking for career
504
change, we're looking for to add to our client services team
832-9200.
and advisor assistance.
If you might have an
Home
interest,
office,
think you
504
might be suited.
832
Let's talk.
9200.
All right, if you want to join the conversation here on the show, 504-260-0995. It's Veterans Day, which kind
All
of
right, if you want to join the conversation here on the show, 504-260-0995.
and we often get this where
which kind of led me
get
to
emails
a
from
topic
veterans who have been led to believe
go
they're
over
missing
with
out on
And
some
we
extra
often
Social Security
get this
benefits
where
allegedly payable to people
get
who
emails
serve
from
in the
veterans who
military.
have been led to believe they're missing
As is
out
often
on
the
some
case
extra Social
with
Security
these
benefits allegedly payable to
internet
people who serve
posts
in the military.
or reach outs.
As is often the case.
There is a
with
tiny
these,
kernel of truth to the rumor, but then
internet
exaggerated claims and
posts
false
or
information take
reach
over
outs.
and things kind of get blown out of proportion.
There is a
So
tiny
here it is in a
kernel of
nutshell.
truth to
If
the
you were in the
rumor, but then
military
exaggerated claims and
anytime
false
up
information take over and things kind of get
until
blown out of
2001, the
So here it
government
is in a
may
nutshell.
add
If
a
you
small
were in the
amount of
military
additional earnings to your
anytime
Social
up
Security record.
until 2001, the government
I am not
may
talking
add
about
a
extra
small
money
amount of
added to your
additional
Social
earnings
Security
to your
check.
Social
These are
Security
simply extra
record.
earnings incorporated into your Social
I am
Security
not
earnings
talking about
record.
extra money
The
added
earnings
to your
record
Social
upon
Security check. These are simply
which your Social
extra
Security
earnings
monthly benefit is
incorporated into
based.
your Social Security
So the
earnings
good news
record.
is that you get these
Earnings
extra
record
earnings put on your
upon
Social Security
which
account.
your Social Security
The
monthly
bad news
benefit
is these
based.
extra credits
So the
are
good news is that
relatively
you get these
minimal
extra
and
earnings
usually
put on
will
your
have
Social
little
Security
or
account.
no effect on the
Bad news
eventual
is these
amount of
extra
your Social
credits are
Security
relatively
check.
minimal and usually will have
These
little
extra earnings are
or no
automatically
effect on the
added to your
eventual
Social Security account.
amount of your
There's
Social
nothing you need
Security
to
check.
do to get the extra credits.
These extra earnings are automatically
Okay, let's
added
back
to your
up
Social
and talk a
Security
little
account.
bit more in
There's
depth
nothing
about it.
you need to do to get the extra credit.
Information about your
Okay,
your
let's back
military
up and
service and
talk a little
Social
bit
Security.
more in
If
depth
you have
about
served on active duty or active
information
duty
about
training
your military
in the
service
military
and Social
service at
Security.
any
If
time
you have
after
served on active duty
1956, you
or
paid Social
active
Security
duty
taxes on
training
your earnings just like anyone
in the
else.
military service at any
working.
time after 1956, you paid Social Security taxes
So
on
if
your
you've
earnings.
been
just
in the
like
military
anyone
since
else.
then, just like anybody holding any job, you've been covered by Social Security.
So
And
if
since
you've been in the
1988,
military
inactive
since then,
duty
just like
in the
anybody
armed
holding any
forces
job,
reserves, such as
you've
weekend
been,
drills, have also been covered by
Social
Social
Security.
Security.
And
That's the
since
easy part. What leads to all the
1988,
confusion
inactive
is
duty in the armed
that
forces
Congress
reserves,
decided
such as
to
weekend
add
drills,
extra
have
earning
also been
credits
covered
to
by
Social Security records of
That's the easy
military
part. What
personnel,
leads to all
and
the
the amount
confusion is
of those
that Congress
credits
decided to
varies
add extra
depending
earning credits
on the
to
time
Social Security
served.
records
So let's get
of
into the weeds
military
here a little
personnel,
bit.
and
If
the
you were in the
amount
military
of
between
those credits
1957
varies
and
depending
1977,
on
the
the time
government adds
So let's get into the weeds
$300
here
to
a
your
little
Social Security
You were in the
record
military between
for each calendar
1957
quarter
and
in which you receive
1977. The
active
government
duty
adds
basic pay.
$300 to your Social Security
Now, from
record
1978
for
through
each
2001, the
calendar
government
quarter
adds
in which
an
you receive
extra
active
$100 to your
basic
Social
pay.
Security account for each
Now, from
$300 you earned in
1978
basic
through
pay,
2001,
up
the
to a
government
maximum
adds
of
an extra
$1,200 a year.
to your Social Security account.
There are
for
times
each
when these
$300
extra
you earned in
credits
basic
aren't
pay,
granted. For
up
example,
to a
if you
maximum
enlisted
of $1,200
after
a
September
year.
7th of 1980 and
There are
didn't
times
complete
when
your
these
full
extra
tour of duty,
credits
you won't get the
aren't granted. For
extra
example, if you
credits.
enlisted
Need to check with
after
Social Security
September 7th of
Administration for
1980
more
and didn't
exceptions.
complete your full tour of
Beginning in
duty, you won't get
2002, the government stopped
extra
adding
credits.
credits to Social
to check with
Security
Social
records
Security
for
Administration
military
for
service.
more exceptions.
If you're due extra
Beginning in
credits, you
2002,
usually
the government
don't
stopped
need to do
adding credits
anything
to
to
Social
get them
Security
added
records
to your
for
record.
military service.
If you served from
If you're due
1968
extra
through
credits, you
2001,
usually don't
those
need to
credits
do
are
anything
automatically
to get them
added to
added
your
to
Social
your record.
Security account. If
If
you
you
served
served
from
from
1957 through 1967, the
those
credits
credits
will be
are automatically
added at the
added to
time
your
you
Social
file
Security
for
account.
benefits.
If you served
So
from
in some cases,
1957
you may be
through
asked to provide your
1967, the credits will be
DD-214,
added
which
at
is your
the time you
discharge
file
papers to
for
verify
benefits.
of your
So in
military
some cases, you may be
service.
asked to provide your DD-214,
Now, the story's a little bit
which is your discharge paper
different
to
for older
verify
vets.
of your
If you served in the
military
armed forces between 1940 and 1956,
story's a
Social
little
Security
bit
taxes were not
different
deducted
for older vets.
from your military
If you served
paychecks,
in the
but in
armed
most
forces
cases, the
between
government did
1940
add
and
$160
1956,
per
Social
month
Security
in
taxes
earnings
were
to your
not
Social
deducted
Security account
from your
for the
military
time you
paychecks,
served.
but in most
These
cases,
credits
the
were
government
automatically
did add
added at the time you
$160 per
applied for
month
Social
in
Security
earnings to your
benefits.
Social Security account. for
There's
the
no
time
big
you served.
Social Security
These credits were
bonuses for
automatically
vets.
added
You
at
don't
the
need to
time
go to
you
your Social
applied for
Security
Social
office
Security
toting your
benefits.
DD-214
There's no
and
big
expect to get a
Social
big pile of
Security
cash.
bonuses for vets. You
Although,
don't need to go to your Social
as I
Security
pointed
office
out,
toting your DD-214
folks who served between
and expect to
1957
get a
and
big pile of cash.
1967 may need to show their
Although,
discharge papers
as I
at the
pointed
time they
out,
file for benefits
folks
to
who
get
served
those
between
extra
1957 and
earnings added to their Social
1967
Security
may
account.
need to show
And finally, it's important those extra earnings you get for your military service aren't going to make you rich because their Social Security retirement benefits are figured using a 35-year base of earnings, a few $100 sprinkled in here and there into your Social Security
35-year
account
base of
will probably
earnings,
have
a
little,
few
if any,
$100
effect
sprinkled in
on your
here and
eventual
there into your Social Security account
benefit.
probably
I
have
know,
little,
a lot,
if
a
any,
lot
effect
there. You
on
can
your
reach out to
eventual
me at my
Social
office if you have
Security
questions. My team's
benefit.
there to help.
A lot there.
Awesome
You can reach out to me
team
at
in
my
our four
office.
offices:
if you have
Mandeville,
questions.
Louisiana,
Team's
Metairie,
there to
Louisiana,
help. We
Baton Rouge, Louisiana, Gulfport,
Awesome
Mississippi, and listeners
team
across
in
the
our four
country.
offices,
We're there
Mandeville,
to help
Louisiana,
you. There's
Metairie,
one number to
Louisiana,
call if you're looking
Baton
for
Rouge,
some help.
Louisiana, Gulfport,
504
Mississippi, and listeners across the country. We're there to help.
832-9200,
There's one
and
number
the
to call if you're
website
looking for some help.
is GregoryRicks.com. So whether it's Social Security questions, it's
100, and the website
retirement planning,
is Gregory Ricks.
investment planning.
Whether it's social
You know, I had a
security
gentleman
questions,
the other day
other
ask,
retirement planning, investment
at
planning.
the educational.
I had a
kind of
gentleman the other day.
What are your fees? We
we'll
will share
share
those
those
to you, but I said, here's probably the thing. I
What
can
are your
simplify.
fees?
Probably going to be less than what you're
we will share
being
those
charged
to
where
you.
you're at.
But I said,
What
here
he's
is
more
more
concerned about is
probably going
he
to be
had a
less
visit
than
with somebody, and
being
after
have
the
to charge
first visit, then they wanted,
what he is more concerned
$7,
about is he
$8,
had
I don't know, $1,000 to
and
move on to the next phase of the visit. And I said, we don't do that.
7, 8.
We start with a visit, get to know you, see what you have identified as some of your worries and concerns, and then we'll see what we find as well. Then, for that second visit, we're going to create some assessments, and we're going to do some analysis and talk about it. We're going to show you that stuff and we're going to go through how to solve some of the problems we've discovered. Maybe point out some things that you weren't aware of. We're not going to charge a fee to show and tell you that. And I said it's kind of simple at that point is, well, who do you want to fix it? Do you want to fix it? Would you like us
and I said
to help you
it's kind of simple at that point.
from that point? And he had one other question. Well, how many visits is it going to take for me to figure out if I want to work with you? I said, well, 2 visits at most. One, if you don't figure we're a fit or don't like us.
Want to work with
2 visits. You should have a good
at
understanding.
most.
We're going to take a short break here. You're listening to Winning at Life. We'll be right back.
If you've got a financial situation and you're not quite sure what to do, you better call Gregory.
The single biggest financial regret of Americans surveyed by Bankrate was waiting too long to start saving for retirement.
Respondents 50 and older expressed this regret at a much higher rate than younger respondents. Morningstar calculated how much you need to sock away monthly to reach the magic number of 1 million saved by 65. Assuming a 7% annual return, you'd need to save $381 a month if you start at age 25 and almost $5,800 a month starting at 55. You see, that just really becomes an obstacle when you delay.
Gregory Ricks and Associates. Find us at GregoryRicks.com or call 504-832-9200. Investment advisory services offered through AE Wealth Management, LLC.
Mosquitoes. We know them as flying, blood-sucking pests. But did you know that mosquitoes are actually highly intelligent? They can smell human breath. Our sweat helps them choose their next meal, and they use our body heat to find just the right place to bite. Outsmart mosquitoes with help from Mosquito Joe. Mosquito Joe has this time-release capsule that they spray that slowly releases its mosquito death over a course of a month. New Orleans.mosquitojoe.com. New Orleans.mosquitojoe.com.
Ask Gregory is a financial podcast from the guys who bring you Winning at Life with Gregory Ricks.
I am near retirement, and I wish I would have been listening to y'all for the last couple of years.
Learn the ins, outs, do's, don'ts, rules, and tools of the financial world.
Hey, I love your show.
Find the Ask Gregory podcast on the Winning at Life app, the iHeartRadio app, Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts, and Spotify.
That's exactly what I needed to know.
Investment advisory services offered through AE Wealth Management, LLC.
The Ricks Report with Gregory Ricks.
At the core, I always tell people, I'm not here to make you rich. I'm here to make sure you don't run out of money, that you don't run out of income. That's how I look at my job. Over time, saving, making good decisions can make you rich. But what you have is, what is your core thing? Your core thing should be making money. And your core thing, you should set aside money to work elsewhere. It doesn't necessarily mean you have to put it to risk. You could put it to safety. But your core thing makes you money, or you tell me your core thing is the market, day trading, or gambling in the market. It shouldn't be. You should have a core thing that makes you money, and you peel some off for the future when you're done with your core.
Winning at Life with Gregory Ricks, Saturday mornings at 10 on News Talk 99.5 WRNO. Find us on the Winning at Life app or GregoryRicks.com. Investment advisory services offered through AE Wealth Management, LLC.
Yeah, that's my girl in the passenger seat. Windows down, dancing around, causing a scene.
You're listening to Winning at Life, live financial news talk radio. I'm your host, Gregory Ricks. If you're looking for some help, go to GregoryRicks.com. The resource I'll share with you from the previous segment regarding veterans compensation, or I'll say Social Security credits for military service or time served for military service. That resource was from Tom Marginal that I utilize. He's got a book called Social Security 100 Myths and 100 Facts. You ought to be able to get that through who you utilize to buy books. Here's something I probably should spend the whole show 3 hours talking about this, but I'm not. I'm going to give you about 8 minutes, and then we'll probably talk some more about this week. But as I said earlier in the show today, I was concerned, like, why do we every year, okay, it's open enrollment is one reason, but we see them heavily promoting Medicare Advantage right now, but you also see that throughout the year. I've got this article by Gretchen Morgensen, NBC News. It was posted October 31st of this year. Here's the headline. Deny by rejecting claims Medicare Advantage plans threaten rural hospitals and patients, say CEOs. Medicare Advantage plans are taking over Medicare, and they're taking advantage of elderly patients, said of the CEO of one Mississippi facility. Here's the quote. They don't want to reimburse for anything, Dr. Kenneth Williams, the CEO of Alliance Healthcare, set up Medicare Advantage plans. So I have concerns. Now, with this said, I've got a preference. I'll tell you what I think, but I'm going to go through some information here. But you have to decide for yourself what's best. And Medicare Advantage is basically put together. They advertise all these perks, but if you've got a supplement that you're paying a premium for, and say, well, oh, I don't have dental, I don't have vision, and some of these other perks they're giving, make sure you're comparing about what you're thinking of switching to. Like, gosh, I won't have to pay a premium, and I get all that. I'm not getting that from a Medicare supplement. Don't do a knee-jerk reaction because of that commercial and jump over that to that. Make sure. See, here, I'm going to continue on. For decades, Rosestone counted on the Alliance Healthcare System in rural Holly Springs, Mississippi for her medical needs. But after she retired and signed up for a Medicare Advantage plan, she was surprised to learn it didn't cover her visits to nonprofit Alliance, the only health provider within 25 miles of her. Stone had a choice: use her own money to keep seeing her regular doctor, or drive out of town to see a physician she didn't know, but whose costs were covered under Medicare Advantage. Rosestone of Holly Springs said she stopped going to see her doctor after Medicare Advantage wouldn't pay for the visits. It was a mess, Stone told NBC News. I didn't go to the doctor because I was going to have to pay out-of-pocket money I didn't have. Some 31 million Americans have Medicare Advantage plans, private sector alternatives to Medicare introduced in 2003 by Congress to encourage greater efficiency in health care. Just over half of Americans on Medicare are enrolled in one of the plans offered by large insurance companies, including United Healthcare and Humana. I've got some highlighted stuff here in the article, once again, from NBC News. Problems are emerging with plans. However, last year, a federal audit from 2013 was released showing that 8 of the 10 largest plans had submitted inflated bills to Medicare. As for quality of care, the Medicare Payment Advisory Commission, a nonpartisan agency of Congress, said in a March report that it could not conclude Medicare Advantage plans systematically provide better quality over regular Medicare, or you'll hear referred to as original Medicare. Even worse, because of the plans routinely deny coverage for necessary care. Yeah, I'm emphasizing that. They are threatening the existence of struggling rural hospitals nationwide. CEOs of facilities in 6 states told NBC News, while the number of older Americans who rely on Medicare Advantage in rural areas continue to rise, these denials force the hospitals to eat increasing costs of care and are causing some to close operations and leave residents without access to treatment. Dr. Williams at Alliance Healthcare System Clinic, Andrea Morales for NBC News, is kind of the two people involved in this story here. They don't want to reimburse for anything. Deny, Dr. Williams, CEO of Alliance Healthcare, said of Medicare Advantage plans. They are taking over Medicare, and they are taking advantage of elderly patients. Williams is something of a hero in Holly Springs. When the area hospital was in danger of closing in 1999, he marshaled resources and helped to keep it open, and they served 38,000 people. No, I'm going to skip along here. I've got to get some other important information in the article to you.
Patience.
Medicare Advantage plans
Williams
are
is
sold
something of a hero in Holly
assiduously
Springs when the
by,
area hospital
and
was
I'm reading the
danger
article,
closing in
by
1999.
celebrity
He
pitchmen.
marshaled
One
resources
you've probably
and
seen
helped
is
to
Joe
keep
Namath as a better way for Americans who qualify for Medicare to get insurance coverage. Many plans add services such as dental and hearing care and wellness programs not offered under traditional Medicare, for which beneficiaries pay extra. The U.S. government pays most of beneficiary premiums to insurers offering the plans. Goes on to another paragraph here. If the government hoped Medicare Advantage plans would reduce the cost of care, that has not been the outcome. Medicare pays the plan 6% more than it would spend if the plan enrollees were covered under regular fee-for-service Medicare and MedPAC, report found. Medicare payments to the plans will cost $27 billion more in 2023 than if the patients were enrolled in traditional Medicare, the report projected. Medicare Advantage is not working out how they expected for the government nor for the patients, is what I'm picking up here. And once again, new enrollment period for plans begin this month. State insurance commissioners told NBC News they too received many complaints from customers saying they were sold Medicare Advantage plans without understanding their limitations. A major complaint, Mike Cheney of the Mississippi Insurance Commission. Consumers are not aware, once again, there's a quote from Mississippi Insurance Commissioner, consumers are not aware their doctors are likely to change under Medicare Advantage. Medicare Advantages have grown in popularity in recent years, with enrollment more than doubling nationwide since 2013. One explanation for that is the plans are often cheaper than paying for a Medicare supplement return, referred to sometimes as Medigap. Another reason for the growth may be significantly larger commissions they pay to brokers selling Medicare Advantage. In 2024, the Centers of Medicare and Medicaid will pay brokers a commission of somewhere between $611 and $762 for first year of Medicare Advantage plan. I'm going to run out of time here regarding this discussion. We are going to pick up this topic next week. This is going to be posted over on my blog. Here's my thought. You need to be careful on shifting that. You should have a Medicare supplement instead, especially in a rural community. They've got to take care of you if they're accepting it and treat you, but they're not being reimbursed, which also might slant their recommendations. You can go to gregoryricks.com/financial-services if you're looking for help. We have a team. It's not in our office, but we have a team that if you're looking for some help and understanding to what's going on here, or some quotes, or better understanding the difference of the plans, you can go to that website address, gregoryricks.com/financial-services. I didn't tell you this to sell you a medical supplement. You can do business wherever you want on that. We always have aid to our clients in these services, but what you need to have is an understanding of what's going on out there and opting into something that's not going to provide services. I woke up 2 weeks ago in the middle of the night concerned about some family members, and we've had talks with them about what they're using. It disturbs me in what's going on, and they might not be properly covered. So do your due diligence. If we can be of help, reach out to Gregory Ricks and Associates, 504-832-9200. Go to gregoryricks.com. We're going to take a short break here, and we'll be back in a few minutes.
From the Gregory Ricks and Associates Wealth Management Studios, WRNO FM, New Orleans, an iHeart radio station.
On U.S. forces continue to grow. I'm Ted Lindner, Fox News. Multiple one-way drones targeting U.S. forces at the Rumlin landing zone in northeast Syria this morning. One drone was shot down. The other impacted the Rumlin landing zone but did not detonate. No injuries or damage reported to infrastructure. This according to a statement and description from a U.S. defense official. It's the sixth attack on U.S. forces since the U.S. airstrikes in Syria Wednesday night, November 8th, and the 48th attack since October 17th.